Hello guys, in this video I'm going to talk about another tense, and that is past perfect tense. Past perfect tense. What is a past perfect tense? We discussed about the other tenses, so in this video I'm going to talk about this tense, and this is called past perfect tense. Now, first of all, let's talk about the structure of past perfect. What is the structure of past perfect? Now, we have the structure of past perfect. The structure is we use subject plus had plus past participle. So this is this is the structure of past participle. We use subject plus, after subject we use had, and had is the auxiliary verb, and then we can use the past participle. So what is a past participle? A past participle is the third form of the verb. A past participle is the third form of the verb. Now this is how we can use the past perfect. This is the first structure, and if I want to change it to negative, this is a positive structure. If I want to change it to negative, we use subject plus had plus not plus past participle. So this is the negative structure. And if I want to change it to the question form, we just bring auxiliary verb had at the beginning plus subject plus past participle. Past subject plus past participle, and plus a question mark. For example, if we want to give an example, if I say I had finished the book, before you came. Now, I had finished the book before you came. Now in this sentence, this is the past perfect, and this is a positive sentence. If I want to change this to negative, I have to use not. For example, I can say I hadn't or I had not finished the book. I had not finished the book. And you can write the rest of them. And if I want to change it to the question form, I have to use had at the beginning. For example, had I finished the book? Had I finished the book? And you can write the rest of them. So this is the structure of past perfect. We use subject plus had plus past participle. This is the structure of past perfect tense. And this is the negative form. If I want to change it to negative, we use not after the auxiliary verb, and the auxiliary verb is here, had. And if I want to change it to questions, I have to use had at the beginning of the sentence. You can also change it to other forms. For example, we can also say had I not finished the book. So now this structure is the negative interrogative. It's the formal one, but we can also say hadn't or had I not, and the rest of them put a question mark. Now these are actually the structures of the past perfect, or the forms we can say. Now if I want to let's talk about the definition of past perfect. I mean, when do we exactly use this tense? So this is actually the past version of present perfect tense. This present perfect tense, it talks about an action. Let's consider this one. Now here, past is past, perfect means complete, and tense is the time of an action. So how can you define it, or how does the usage, the definition or the usage? Let's say, for example, the usage. It talks about an action. That was complete before another action or we can say activity in the past. Or it talks about an action that is started and completed before another action in the past. Let's consider this is the chart. This is the time chart. From here up to here is past, here is present, and after this is future. Now what does it show? This tense talks about an action, look, that is started and completed before another action in the past. Let's consider, for example, here, you started sleeping in the past and your friend arrived after that. For example, let's consider you started sleeping at 7 o'clock and then your friend came at 8 o'clock. So the action of sleeping started and completed before action of arriving in the past. And here we use past perfect tense, and here we also use before. For example, you can say, I say you had, this is the verb, the first verb, you had slept before your friend came, or let's say arrived before your friend arrived. Now we have two actions here. First action of sleeping, the other action is arriving. So action of sleeping started at 7 o'clock. When your friend came at 8 o'clock, you just woke up. So action of sleeping started and completed before action of arriving in the past. This is called past perfect tense. If I compare it with other tenses, for example, if I have this one present, it's present and future, and there is another one, this is past, present, and future. If I compare it with other perfect tenses, for example, if I say this, an action is started in the past and completes before another action in the present tense, what tense do we call it? What tense is that? So of course it is present perfect tense. Action is started and completes before another action in the present tense, we use present perfect. But if an action that will start in the future and will finish before another action in the future, we can call it future perfect tense. So, but if an action is started in the past and completed before another action in the past, we have to use past perfect tense. For example, you had slept before your friend arrived. Or, for example, you started reading, let's say started eating and arriving. So you started eating in the past. When I arrived, when I came, you finished eating. So what do we say? I can say you had eaten, for example, before I arrived. So now here, action of eating completed before action of arriving in the past. We have to use what tense? Past perfect tense. So let me say it again. Past perfect tense talks about an action that is started and completed before another action in the past. Or you can also say it talks about an action, or talks about an action. Sorry, this is action. An action that was complete before another action or time in the past. So we can call it past tense. Now there are some adverbs that we use with this tense. For example, we can use when, we can use by the time, and before and after. So they are the conjunctions that we use here. For example, we use by the time. If I use by the time is used with simple past. For example, here if I say by the time we arrived, with the time we arrived there, we can say the train had left. Now here if you use by the time, so by the time is used with simple past here, and the second clause should be past perfect tense. By the time we arrived there, the train had left. Or you can also say by the time she called me, by the time she called me, I had by the time she called me, I had completed the report. She asked me to complete the report and add something. So by the time, but By the time she called me, I had completed the action of completing the report, finished before action of by the time. So we can see by the time. If by the time comes first, we put a comma, and if the main clause comes first, we don't put any comma. We can also use when. For example, when she arrived, I had finished teaching. So you can also say when she arrived, I had finished teaching, or you can say when she arrived, I finished teaching. So it doesn't matter, both of them actually can happen. But we can also say after, for example, before you came, I had repaired everything. Again, here this action of repairing happened before action of coming. Or I can also say before she left, she had given everything back. So we can say before she left, and we also simple past. But if you use after, for example, you can say after I had finished teaching, and the students had left the class. So, but here you can also say after I finished teaching, the students had left. No, the students left the class. Let's say the students left the class, not had left. So we can say after I had finished teaching, the students left the class. But we can also say here, I can also say after I finished teaching, the students left. Left the class. So here in this part, both of them can be right. For example, after I had completed the report, I sent it. Or you can also say after I completed the report, I sent it. After I had written the book, I published it. After I wrote the book, I published it. So both of them are right. After you had understood the lesson, I cleaned the word. After you understood the lesson, I cleaned the word. So here, with past perfect tense, actually, we use by the time, we use when. Here, let me write it again. We use by the time, we use when, we use before, and we use after. So before and when and by the time are used with past tense when we use with past perfect tense. But after can be used with past tense, and also it can also be used with past perfect tense. So both of them can be right. Now this is how you can talk about past perfect.